God, it's a gift to us. We thank you for freedom, pray for peace in the world, pray for peace in our township, and pray that you give us wisdom tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming. Had a chance to check out the agenda. Take a motion to accept.
I motion.
Motion made. I'll second. And seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Approval of the minutes for 11/18/2024. You've all had a chance to read through them. You should have gotten a copy on your emails. Entertain a motion to accept.
I'll motion.
Motion made
I'll second.
and seconded. All in favor? All opposed? County Commissioner, Mr. Brad Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. First of all, welcome to the new board. It is the beginning of a new term in township government, of course, county government. We are on a calendar year, so our year does not begin. And we will have a number of new faces in county government. New county commissioner, new register of deed, new county clerk, and new prosecuting attorneys. So a lot of changes in county government coming up. Tomorrow, our first meeting of the month, we will hold the public hearing on adopting the 2025 county both general revenue and special revenue fund budgets. That public hearing is set for 10 a.m. tomorrow. And the proposed budget, the last number that I had, the number we had from last week, was $15,742,556. We did renew the contract with our now very long-time auditing firm, Anderson Tappan. They are actually out of the Upper Peninsula, and the county became familiar with them because they were the auditor for our three county health department many years ago, probably 15 or more years ago. And they've been doing our audit. We've been very, very happy. They work really, really well with us. And we continue that for 3 additional years. So they will audit our 2024, 25, and 26. Of course, it's always a year trailing, so they do 24 and 25 respectively. And the cost for that in the first year will be $45,000. So that perspective, with township budget, of course, our general fund budget is around $15 million. But then we have a number of special revenue funds that pass through that, including our medical care facility, which ultimately comes back and ties together in the final audit we have for the county. We did accept a contract from ADP Payroll Services to help us with payroll for the county. We have about 180 full-time employees, and then we also do some additional payroll work from some other components within county government. And that payroll and payables have forever been, because it's statutorily in the county clerk's office. As part of the agreement with the new county clerk, payables and payroll will be moving down to our finance director's office. And as part of being able for the finance office to take that over without any additional staffing down there, because it's about 7/10 of a full-time equivalent to do payables and payroll for the county, we will be using ADP to help us with payroll processing. That'll cost us around $28,000 a year to get that 7/10 of a full-time equivalent. It would be with health insurance and everything else, be more like 50. So will be a savings to be doing that. Tomorrow we will also have a public hearing on making government a little bit smaller within the county. And that would be a public hearing on repealing our county planning ordinance. County is kind of interesting as we don't have countywide zoning. About half of our units of government within the county, Adams Township included, do have zoning at the local level. Our cities all have zoning, but about half of our townships do not. And so the Planning Commission, basically, one of the big things that they do is they review PA 116 applications, which is a farmland and open space application, where landowners in agreement for keeping land in farm or agriculture, that they get a rebate back on their property taxes for doing that. So they review those applications, they come to the Board of Commissioners, and then they're sent on to the Department of Treasury. So we did actually, last spring, get a legal opinion. The Board of Commissioners can do that responsibility of reviewing those applications within our committee structure and then approve them at the full board. We don't need to have the Planning Commission to do that. And very honestly, I actually served when I was a township supervisor. I served as the chairperson of the Planning Commission, and we struggled every time we met. They meet every other month. We struggled every time we met to get a quorum. A lot of times we'd be one person short. We'd be making phone calls and see if we could get that one person. We've had a hard time getting an educational revenue. There's a statutory requirement of the makeup of that. We struggled for a long time to get someone from the environmental sector. And so it really has been one of the things that we've had a planning ordinance for a long, long time, but I think that the time is now. It'll save us about $5,000 in the budget to do that, and there will be no significant impact in services to anyone within the county if we do away with that. So we will have that hearing tomorrow. Afterwards, we will take up the subject of whether or not that we should repeal that ordinance and then disband our planning commission. And that concludes my report for the evening, unless you have questions for me, Mr. Johnson.
What time is that public hearing?
The public hearing on the planning commission is 11.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Other questions?
Anybody else have a question?
Is there any special in tomorrow's meeting, budget, that you, the public needs to know about, or needs,
I think
or it's not?
I think there's really no big surprises in there. Everybody, I mean, it was published with our last meeting packet. It's long, so, but there's really nothing new that I'm aware of, other than, we are going to move emergency management to a full-time position. So Director Whitaker, who has held that part-time, of course, his predecessor, Doug Sanford, both encouraged us to make that a full-time position, and we have budgeted for that. We're going to pay the parking lot of Sheriff. I mean, some maintenance projects and that happen. No big surprises that I heard.
Well, with the idea you got a new hire, is that in what way and what direction of monies that fits into the budget that has made an allowance of another $50,000, or is it?
Yeah, it's about over and above what we had in the original without that position there. That added about $50,000, maybe $52,000. I think there was about $60,000 that were added in by motions of the Board of Commissioners. One was in regards to CPR training for our employees. We actually found a less expensive way to do that, and so that may come in, but I think it was $4,000 that was added back in that had been requested for that.
Yeah.
But I think overall the changes that were made by the board were around $60,000. We had a proposed budget by our budget committee, and then we made some amendments. We took some things out. I think the big thing that we took out was paving the parking lot of the Sheriff's Department. We're pretty sure we're going to be able to do that. So, just to get like with the emergency management director, we're probably not going to get that position filled until the 1st of February. So if you take the salary and take benefits on that, 1 month of not paying that person, that'll save $6,000. So that's 10% of the cost of paving the parking lot.
Okay, well, I mean, the other is just that you said that we were trying to look at, cutting down, say, the overall committees and bring it down to smaller government.
Right.
And just wondering that since I think it's Tom that's gonna be.
Yep.
He's stepping down, or is he removing himself altogether?
He's stepping down from the emergency management director. He has 2 positions within county government, the 911 director, which is his primary job, and then he's paid part-time as the emergency manager. Same agreement that we had with Doug Sanford when he was the 911 director.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So,
Yeah, I just thought
Yeah.
that when I heard
might want to fix your light on your phone.
Oh, is it on?
Yep, it'll run your battery out. Just voice of experience.
Oh, goodness.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you,
Brad.
everyone, and just finally, Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. I hope
You all.
you have a safe one. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Klein.
Thank you for having me. My notes are from the meeting of November 27th. We got a new brine contract out for bid, and so far one bid that we got is the same as last year, or this year. So hopefully we'll be able to keep that. The work on Genesee Road is complete. The ditching is complete on Woodbridge Road. Our sign truck did not pass the inspection for the boom, so we can't use that anymore, so Jackson County's been coming down and writing signs for us till we can find a new sign truck. We did get a bid on one, about $198,000, so we're still looking. Permit was approved for Territorial Road culvert. This is a big culvert, it's like 8-foot culvert, and it won't be completed until this coming spring. But we had to get a permit from Eagle to put it in, so that has been approved. 24 safety projects are all done, all but 1,000 feet of Anchors Road. And this is just the reflective paint that they put in the rumble strips. And for some reason, they was having trouble with the paint, so probably they got that done, I don't know. We'll know more at this coming Thursday's meeting. Federal aid for 25 is gonna be for Concord Road, Herring Road, and Jonesville Road, and they'll be doing paving on that. They're gonna put a 2-inch overlay on those roads. And that's about all I've got.
Mark, it was Concord, Jonesville Road, and what's the other one?
Herring Road,
Herring?
yeah, it's over to Litchfield.
You guys looking on repairing the boom, or?
Yeah, we did, but the age of the truck and the age of the boom, you're better off just buying a new one. Because they have to be inspected every so often to make sure, you know, the last thing you want to do is get up there and you can't get out, or it comes down. I think the truck is, don't quote me on this, but I think it's like a 90-something truck. So it's old, I mean, it's been there.
Yeah.
The truck itself is fine, I mean, the truck is fine, it's just the boom. So, other than that, that's about all I've got.
Anybody got questions for Mr. Klein?
Questions?
I do, Mark.
Yeah,
Thank you. You knew I was gonna ask something, didn't you? What is this 2-inch? Is this gonna be smooth, or is this gonna be the rough content that we use on US 12? What you're talking about getting Concord Road, redoing this 2-inch, is that gonna be the rough style like we have very porous on US 12?
I really can't answer that for you, Bob. I mean, it'll be whatever MDOT specs would be. And sometimes MDOT changes that. I know some places they put down the rough as, for hydroplaning and those kinds of issues. Other times it's just a smooth.
Well, we did find that on US 12. We looked at when they first applied it, and then we looked at all the towing that had to be taking place for those that had ran off because of the icing. We found it didn't, because it's not smooth. It was much, easier to grab on the tires. So I don't know how much influence you have that direction. I'll call myself and find out, because I've been looking at what was out of Jackson, and I went to Lansing to find that out. I think that application has been the most that we could ever ask for. It doesn't cost as much if you're not using the smoothness, but it's more of a cold than it's being put down any other way.
I know what you're talking about. They put it on M50 down by Britain. But the bad part about that was in the wintertime, we had to babysit that road a lot with salt. Because it was rough, and so the water kind of, once the ice melted, the water kind of stayed there. So we'd have to go out and keep salting it a lot.
They didn't find that out when they did US 12. We did find out later that they didn't take care of the road before they made the application. That means they
that was kind of a test bed for MDOT down in Britain on that type of road. And I don't think they've used it since then.
All right, so that was in Britain?
Yeah, it's on M50.
Yeah, all right, thank you kind of much.
Anybody else?
Mark, have you heard anything on the Emily Young stuff project?
That is on hold. They did put it out for bids, or the drain commissioner is the prime contractor, or prime manager of it. They put it out for bids and nobody bid on it.
That was very short notice, and they were gonna rebid it again.
Yeah, that's the
so-
last I heard, it was gonna be rebid. They're not anticipating any work that I've heard of this summer. Now, maybe it'll change, maybe somebody will step up and, put a bid in on it and they can accept it. MDOT is talking about, replacing the bridge in Camden on M,
Just across the county here.
yeah, on M 49. And they're gonna put a temporary bridge. It'll be a one-lane bridge with stop lights and everything. They haven't put that out for bid yet either, so we'll see how soon that all comes. We were kind of hoping that they would not put the temporary bridge in, use some of our county roads so we could get them to help pave them, but they're not, they're putting a temporary bridge in, so we're not gonna be that lucky. But
Yeah, Camden Road.
yes, that's what
Reach
we,
the town there, they're really easy.
that's what we were hoping, and really, I think it would be more cost effective if they did it that way than put the temporary bridge in. But MDOT engineers seem to think that that's what they wanna do, so that's what they're gonna do. But no, I haven't heard anything more than
Okay.
that.
I have not, and that's why I think that's
Yeah.
for roads.
Usually we get some kind of an update, from MDOT when they're gonna do a project like that. Like the M99 projects. So far, the temporary patch that we put in there has been holding. They put a flowable material in there.
Right.
But other than that, no, I haven't heard anything more.
Anybody else?
Last meeting, you said that your budget for
Yes.
the next year is gonna be going from 15.1 million to 11.7.
Part of that budget was bridge funding that we got in that year that we aren't getting in the coming year, in '25. So actually, our budget is only down $1.5 million.
Is that going to,
Yes.
is that gonna affect your maintenance? and-
Oh, yes, well, no,
Or whatever road work you're doing,
it will affect road work,
yeah.
and it will also affect our cost share with townships.
It's, you know, every meeting, I think, more questions and concerns are brought up about the roads, and here
Yes,
you are with a million
There
plus
is a-
shortage, so.
there is a hope that the legislature might do something.
Help you out.
Yes, there was a proposal the Republicans put forward. It's supposed to be a revenue neutral, taking some from the sales tax and doing it on the gas tax. I haven't seen anything at all about it, and it's, like I said, it's a hope.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was supposed to be for local roads. It wasn't supposed to be for MDOT roads.
Is the reason for the reduction because of electric vehicles not paying a fuel tax, or what has fed into it?
The electric vehicles are part of it, but not a substantial part of it. A
Oh,
substantial part is the fact that cars are getting better fuel mileage. And so therefore the gas sales are down. Cause I mean, even my pickup gets double the gas mileage that my old pickup got. So I'm not,
yeah.
if I could still drive that old pickup, we'd probably fix more roads too. I'm not driving that old pickup for that reason, but
Anybody else?
Merry Christmas.
Okay, so we're gonna move into public comment. Remember, 3 minutes. Direct your questions to the board or your comments to the board. Do not comment to each other. Keep it respectful and friendly. And who's gonna be first?
I will go first. Thank you, guys. I do want to address this to 4 of the board members. That'd be Jason, Dave, Randy, and Dan. This is in regards to a FOIA request that I submitted, and I want to give you a little bit of history on the detail on it, and maybe a little details so that you guys can maybe prompt your clerk to maybe take a little different action on this. On November 1st, I submitted a FOIA request to the township. It was for 3 reports. I was looking for the registered voter list of the township, and I completely understand I turned it in way late before the election because I was looking for specific days. Clerk did respond back to me on 11/7 that she would take the extended time period, which is perfectly fine. And on 11/8, I did reply to her acknowledging that the first 2 dates were impossible because I knew the date could not be set in the system to backdate a report. So that was fully acknowledged. 10 days later, after that, on 11/18, the clerk did respond to me, and the response was, after confirming with the state, file a FOIA request with them. So in that email was a whole long diatribe with the state, getting clarification on how to run the report, what am I looking for, blah, blah, blah. And the state did say, go ahead and have her contact me if you want to. The reason I went to the local precinct clerk, because as you guys know, I have had concerns over the elections and to the registered voters in this township, which I provided you guys all that list in which it bumped real crazy high in 2020 and 2021 and back down again. So it is a legitimate investigation in this township to see what's going on with that registered voter file. So anyway, on the 18th, along with that whole correspondence with the state, her response was, after confirming with the state, the FOIA request, filed a FOIA request with them. On 11/20, I refiled my FOIA request with the township, clarifying 3 reports. The one is the registered voter report that I originally requested, the absentee voter list, and then based on a conversation or a statement from the last meeting, I wanted to see who registered the same day in the township. So that was on 11/20, and on 12/3, clerk responded back to me, after a review by the state, I refer you to the state of Michigan to file this FOIA request. So then my response was asking if it was a formal denial of the FOIA, and if so, what was the basis for the FOIA, and the response was, I'm denying per the state due clerks not being able to pull a snapshot of the PDF voter file back in time, which is what I addressed with the 2 reports that weren't available. And then she also said, I would request you contact the state at the email I previously sent to you. So what I want to say to this is, if you follow FOIA law, that's Michigan Comprised Law 15.200, but Adams Township is the public body, as identified MCL by statute 15.232(9)H. That might take 3 minutes. All right, I'll finish afterwards.
Who's next? Yes.
Hi, my name is Sandra Van Cortman from Moscow Township, and my questions are for Susie. Susie, does Adams Township have a lawyer, an attorney, to deal with cases and requests? Does Adams Township have an attorney to refer to when legal questions come up?
This is your time to speak.
Yeah, that's public comment.
Yes,
You don't
yes.
get to cue it.
Yeah.
Well, I was
request.
told directed at the board.
You just
Board
direct
member-
comments, you don't get
It's
to.
Okay.
they do not have to-
Well, I'll make a comment then. On Friday, November 1st, Stephanie Scott sent a request to Susie for a FOIA request. And this was at 11 a.m. in the morning. That same day, at 12:01 p.m., Susie sent an email to the Secretary of State's office to help her answer this FOIA request. Then the reason why I asked if you had a lawyer for your township is because, do you realize that the Secretary of State is actually bringing charges against Stephanie, criminal charges, and you go to the Secretary of State for advice on how to answer a FOIA? Townships usually do have their own lawyers do that. And the interesting thing is just probably about less than an hour after Stephanie sent her request for a FOIA, Susie, you sent your request from to the Secretary of State's office for help in answering. And then on November 8th, you sent a email, or November 7th, you sent an email and to Stephanie saying you just received her FOIA request when you received it on November 1st. And the interesting thing about the FOIA request and the information that the Secretary of State's office provided you was that you could reject Stephanie's FOIA. She didn't put her address. It didn't seem to be any attempt made to answer the FOIA request, but it looked to me like she was helping you avoid answering. So I guess if I can't ask any questions, I just want to point out this discrepancy, that maybe you should have asked your attorney for the township, rather than going to the Secretary of State's office that's persecuting and prosecuting an honest woman like Stephanie Scott. And if you don't know how to answer a FOIA request, you really shouldn't be on that board. That's my comment.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah. Oh, Mr. Glass.
Rob Glass, longtime resident. I don't envy you guys a bit, but I appreciate what you're doing. I just got 4 things. It's brought to my attention you guys were left with an absolute disaster on the books and from previous administration. There is no shame in asking for help. There's no shame. There's training classes for township supervisors, for clerks. It's provided by the state of Michigan. I implore you to take advantage of that on taxpayer dollar. That's why we have a fund. You're not elected to fix what was wrong. You're elected to maintain. I strongly advise you guys, recommend that you hire an outside firm to come in, straighten the books up to where they need to be, and then go forward. And if you need help and you're asking for help, that's a mature adult thing to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's how we get ahead in life, because we ask questions and we say, hey, I'm not too prideful, I need help, please give me some help. There's nothing wrong with that, and you know, that's a great thing to do. 2, I was at a Somerset Township meeting a couple weeks ago. Township supervisor is separate from zoning enforcement supervisor. I encourage you guys to separate that, hire an outside zoning enforcement officer from outside of the township and pay him to do zoning enforcement. Number 3, if you're gonna have zoning, you have to enforce all the zoning. Okay, you can't pick and choose, it's not a handbasket. If somebody has a project they wanna do and you're forcing them to do all these things, but yet you're allowing the blight and all the other negligent things to continue on without enforcing that, that's not fair to everybody. You don't get to pick and choose who gets enforced and who doesn't. You have to enforce everyone equally. It's not fair. It can't be that way. You can't tell someone, yeah, you gotta have this permit to do this, but we're gonna let this person have 50 junk cars in their yard. That's just not right. That's not fair. And if you're not gonna be able to enforce all of it, abolish it. Just make a motion, get rid of zoning. We could save a ton of taxpayer money on zoning enforcement officer. We won't have to have the planning commission meetings anymore. We won't have to do any of this stuff. And then everybody can just run amok and do whatever they want. And I'm torn at this because, one, I don't like looking at my neighbor's junky cars in their yard. I think they're an idiot for letting them rust instead of taking them to the scrap yard and getting the most weight they can out of them. Instead, every day a dime falls off of it and rust. It's just ignorant. But at the same time, I don't want anybody telling me what I can do with my property. It's mine. I pay the taxes. Until you're going to pay the taxes, leave me the hell alone. It's mine. Okay? That's just kind of how I'm starting to feel about it. And last but not least, please wash this building. It's getting mold on it. It needs cleaning. Thank you.
Who's next?
I'll be next.
Okay, Mr.
Mackes.
I was letting you do it.
Well, I'm always called Meekus.
I see.
Hey, in regards to this FOIA situation, I really believe it's the duty of the board
Home, I have a life.
to, whoops, have some conversation among the board members. I'd be very interested to hear what the various board members think of this situation. Maybe you all need to review things before you have that kind of discussion. But the decision of the clerk to not provide this FOIA is a decision she's made. Maybe you need to decide whether you want to overrule that and direct her to provide the record as requested by Ms. Scott. If you don't address it directly, you are making a decision in favor of what she's doing. And that's, maybe she believes it's right, and that's fine. But not providing the FOIA could put the board and the township in a litigation situation. I have a personal opinion about this whole thing, which I'm not going to share. But I'm concerned for the board and the township to avoid more conflicts and possible sanctions through litigation. And that's why I'm sharing this. I really think you guys need to take it up and have a conversation about this, rather than just kind of walk away from it. So, thank you.
Who's next? Bob?
Thank you. I gotta go along with that same gesture. The prosecution was without finding anyone guilty that was removed at this floor, which is Stephanie Scott. Very concerned about how that was conducted. But further that, even I have been at the county commissioners this most recent time, and we have public speaking is what this camera's on. And my beginning at the public has been removed. It's amazing some of the things that can be done. It's kind of treachery-wise. I guess I also have another comment is, my greatest concern is what we've had in the past, 3 years, 4. We have Mr. Hodshire as our sheriff, Scotty, as I call him Scotty. So we've got already 3 people in deaths. We've been unheard of in this county, ever. We've got a great number of people that are in great need, I'm going to say food-wise. And we're seeing so much more people out on the streets than we've ever had. We've got much more on the senior center, senior people, I should say, in greater need than ever to say just go in and help them out with their windows or, patch up something to make sure the cold doesn't get to them. We aren't sharing ourselves enough. We have departed from this normalcy that they put us into in the very beginning of this Biden administration. It has separated most of us from wanting to be able to talk thoroughly with each other. And the normalization this is not normal to be putting women's, say, articles in the men's bathrooms. It's not usual for not say usual, normalized. To normalize these nonsense things is just chaotic. But anyway, thank you for the time.
Sure. Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes.
Janice?
Talking about FOIAs, if any of you people were here when our previous board was here, they were FOIA'd several times and refused to answer those FOIAs. Just a reminder of what happened back then.
It doesn't mean they have to go now. Repeat that. I'm just saying.
I'd like to take my time to follow up on that, Mr. Supervisor.
Just a second, Mark, I'm writing this down.
All right.
All right, go ahead.
Mrs. Roberts does not have her facts straight. The FOIA was not finished, which might lead one to wonder, why doesn't this board pick it up and finish that FOIA? It doesn't seem to be of any concern now. There was considerable work done on that FOIA, but we found after the fact that a long-time member of the board should have remembered that they were the ones that was responsible for the FOIA, not me. Not a peep was said. So that's a pretty sore subject, particularly the fact And I'm talking about the ex-treasurer, if you got any questions. We have a copy of the paperwork. They didn't say a peep. 40 years or plus on this board and didn't have a very good clue of what was going on, or wouldn't step up to the plate and fulfill what was a resolution of the township, that it was the treasurer's responsibility when the clerk couldn't. And in that case, Stephanie had attorney-client privilege. It should have went to Pat then. So this township just is really run quite shabbily, in my opinion. Let's go back to, if I have time left, to the last meeting that you called for whatever reason. And yes, it was posted on the door, but you took taxpayer money when you could have probably called MTA to figure out how to do it. And I still think you did it wrong, because you did not hold a special meeting. You held a rescheduled regular meeting. So I don't think that you did it right. Now, maybe you think that I'm just picking, but we have law for a reason. And when we don't follow law, we have anarchy, basically.
Anybody else? Hearing none, we go on to old business. I see none. New business. Election Coordinating Committee 2025 through 2023. You have before you a sample of that.
Basically, this just deals with school elections, as far as villages, things like that, if a board member, they have to replace anything like that. That's basically all this is. What it will encompass is, we do not have enough voters for like Jonesville School, Hillsdale School, Pittsburgh schools, so we would not have an election day here, because we have under 100, it would not be feasible money-wise. But obviously, if it was anything to do with the North Adams Jerome School, we would be here, we would have all the election equipment, everything would be up and running. What this is the county is now asking us to go ahead and do the same thing we did last time, which is what I just said. The outside ones, the outside school systems, we will, send permanent AV ballots out, things like that. North Adams Jerome, we will have here. So I would ask for a motion on that, to approve this for the 25 to 28.
Before we get that, with vested interest in not only the township but the school, I'm going to abstain from this vote.
Okay.
All right. I'd like to do a roll call. I'll need a motion to. I'll make a motion. Okay. Second?
I'll second.
And second. Let's do a roll call.
Okay, Jason. Yes. David.
Yes.
Randy.
Yes.
And myself, yes.
Anything else?
What was that?
The non-treasurer's note.
For you, just the investment report for month of November.
Motion to accept.
And motion?
I'll second.
And seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Clerk's note, I'm sorry, I missed bills. Did you miss the bills? Sorry. Had time to look them over? Any questions, comments? Hearing none, I will take a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $8,256.36.
Motion.
Motion made. And supported. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Cemetery. Any questions? cemetery bills in the amount of $1,150.
I'll motion.
Motion made.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Bills are paid. Clerk's note.
On the clerk's note, I spent time last week on the phone with the IRS. I don't know if anyone else did this before I was retired, when I got my social security notice. I always check to make sure that my Medicare payment and my social security matched. Unfortunately, I got a letter for 3, all in 2021, that they wanted to know what to do with the money. They wanted an account to send it back to. I called them, contacted them. None of the reports were sent, the 941s for that. If they were sent, they were sent to the wrong place. I also, while I had them on the phone, went, are there any others? And there were 3 other ones. So in effect, I sent 6 documents regarding 941 to 2 different treasury offices. So I'm going to point out, please always check that, because without sending that information back in, no one on the board at that time would have gotten credit for their Social Security or their Medicare payments.
I know this is unorthodox, but can I ask? So 3 in 2021 and another 3 in 2022?
1 in 22, the first quarter in 23, and then the second one. Apparently there's times where you have so much time and then they go, we're gonna send you the money back. So basically all of 2021, 1 in 2022, and the first quarter in 2023.
And you're just hearing about it now?
Yes, I just got the letter.
Did you find the paperwork in the file cabinet? And the reason I asked, so when I took over, there was a sheet, it was in the filing drawers. I did just what Michelle was doing. There's a website on there, submitted through there. Paperwork was all printed along with the electronic payment. It's in the file cabinet.
But you have to send those paper forms in 941.
That's not what Michelle told me. So if
They
that's
have to.
true, that was not the training that I received, and it was an electronic filing, and I was told.
You electronically pay the money,
Right,
but the form doesn't go.
okay. That was.
They
never
electronically,
relayed.
well, for
And
some reason,
But why, would that have been all the time that I was in there then? 'Cause I came
I
in
have
and-
not had a request for 2 for 20.
Well, they were all done the same way, so you might as well contact them, because one day.
Well, I contacted 2 different numbers to make sure that everything was in, so everyone got credit for their Social Security and Medicare payments.
So there were 2 places to go into, one for the payment, one for filing the form.
But W3's, the year-end one would go to a different place.
Well, the auditor
When
did
you
that.
said, but the auditors did that. But no, you have, if, like, 3 went to Ogden, the rest went to Kansas City. And Kansas City, Missouri has been the place where Michigan descended for years and years and years, way before I had ADP payroll. So,
Well, that's
I
not,
don't know what
that's
it is.
not what I was told when I started, so, yep, I did not mail anything in on that.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't know. I'm gonna get this on that. We were talking about the one of the furnaces went out for the whole front end here. So I called, got someone out to find out what was going on. I had them give me an estimate as to what it would be for maintenance, but they're the only, I wanna call other people, see if there's anyone else that does geothermal, because that visit he came out was $208. So I just wanted to get some comparisons before I bring that back. I can see where I can't find anything that maintenance has, any kind of maintenance has been done on those.
Other than change filters?
Yeah, other than we changed the filters.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, it was like 53 in this.
that'll get tabled until we get.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to get some bids.
Okay, moving on. Supervisory zoning notes. You know, I hear over and over and over all the time, you know, that if you're gonna follow the law, you need to follow all the law. people in this room would be sorry. I haven't really gone out and nailed anybody on other than if it affects your neighbor, then it would affect us as a township. If it needs to be cleaned up, then obviously we will do our very best to make sure it does get cleaned up. If there are any incidences in the township that I think that is impertinent for the people who live in here to know, I will make it a point to go to their house and let them know what's going on in your neighborhood. The same thing with anybody in this room who thinks that they're above the law, who spouse the law, who thinks they are above it. They should be careful if they really want the law to be pushed. That's my supervisor note for the day. I think taxpayer money on the other election, I don't think we spent anybody's money, did we? I think we have the same thing we always do. Nobody got paid extra. Nobody got paid more money. Okay. So, having said that, let's go back into public comment. Remember, 3 minutes. Address the board. Be nice. Who's first?
So I need to finish. So I laid the groundwork on this. I thought about printing all the paperwork for you guys, but that's you guys' job to read that. And if not, call the township attorney. That would be the logical thing.
Or the TA.
But I want to point out, number one, Adams Township is the public body. By statute, by MCL 15.232, Adams Township, the township is the entity and the public body. As such, those public records from the township are subject to disclosure by the provisions of FOIA. The Adams Township FOIA policy does now, it changed when you guys changed, or when the new board after we left changed the resolution, did change and put the clerk in charge of the FOIA as a FOIA coordinator. And thus the clerk is the one that needs to apply with the law and provide the records. Failure to do this, now this is when it's a denial, there's 2 options for that person that commits that, or submits that FOIA. And that would be appealed to the board like I did you guys last time on the fees, the excessive fees. The other option is to pursue court or litigation on it in circuit court. And just to give you guys a heads up, you can read it, you're exposing the township to about $12,000 in fine because it does cover civil fines and legal fees, attorney's fees in this. And then my last item, I'll offer to help you. I showed you the screenshots. It is a 5-minute job. It would take me 5 minutes to go in there and show you. I will make that offer after this to come in and help you with it. If you want other people in the room, that's fine too. Print those files, PDF on actually CSV format, and email it to me, and get this off the township's shoulders on the whole thing. You know, I guess what makes me sad is this isn't a hard thing. This is right on the qualified voter system file. The reports, the Bureau of Elections showed you the reports. Susie, she told you where to go with them. Oops, I'm guessing. She told you. And you still are denying it, and it makes no sense to me because it's super easy. You know that all the charges against me are the fact that the state and the township levels of the voter records did not match. So there's no reason that I don't want to go to the state, and you have no idea unless you ask them if I actually did FOIA the state for the same record. So I would urge you, other 4 members of the board, take a look at the Michigan statutes on this and the requirements of the FOIA coordinator that you guys appointed in this township to fulfill the FOIA requirements and avoid any potential litigation exposure to the township that's not fair to the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I want to reemphasize that Stephanie sent a FOIA request on November 1st, Susie. Within an hour, Susie contacted the Secretary of State instead of the Township Attorney. Secretary of State, which is persecuting and prosecuting Stephanie Scott. And in between November 1st and November 7th, Susie had a lot of communication between herself and the Secretary of State. And then on November 7th, Susie sent an email to Stephanie saying, I just received your FOIA request today. So I just want to, and I want to emphasize that when Susie was talking, and not talking, but communicating with the Secretary of State's Department concerning this FOIA request, the first thing that I have for emails is the Secretary of State Director of FOIA said that she could deny it because there was no address. didn't seem to be any cooperation there. And so, that's what the point I want to make is, there's a FOIA request out, and there's, in my opinion, from looking at the email, there's no attempt to fulfill it. It looks as if you're just trying to buy time and put it off.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
No motion.